Hello and welcome to the Point in Progress podcast, episode 44. Your one-stop shop for news, recommendations, and some spicy takes. Join 5 friends across 3 time zones and 2 countries every week as we discuss all the things we love while still thinking critically about them. What's up, everybody? I'm your host for today, Sly, and I'm joined by the lovely crew. Starting off with Fee. How are you doing this week? You've had an eventful week.
I sure have. Thought I had COVID. And it's just been kind of like a barrel of monkeys, just going nuts. And just things keep on rolling. And apparently I'm going into that song. So before I get us in trouble, I'm gonna
it sounded like a song at first. I was like, it's a reference?
It is a reference indeed. Frank, how have you been?
Good. I've had a good ass week. Hopefully even a better week next week.
Love to see it. Maria, how are you doing? You got a cat?
Yeah, I have a cat. She jumped on my keyboard right before the show started. So just trying to make sure she's all set.
And of course, joining us is the illustrious Harv. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. We got it's Friday. It's the weekend.
You ain't got no job.
You're here.
Friday night. Let's go.
We're hanging out. All right, before we jump into what we've been playing, watching, etc. this week, we got some housekeeping. Frank, what are you and Mario doing tomorrow? Let us know.
Yes, so we said this last week, but here's another reminder for it as well. We've already kind of sent out DMs to people to kind of get them to know about what's going on. That way we can get them in. But tomorrow, me and Mario from 6 p.m. Central Time to 8 p.m. Central Time, we will be discussing The Batman. This is a new format that we're going to try. Did we discuss if we're going to stream this? We're going to stream this, right?
Yeah, we're streaming it. So that way, if you're in the chat, and then that way we see that you're reacting in the chat and you want to join us, we'll have you verified into our Discord, and you can straight up just start talking with us.
Yes. So, there will be a little bit of a waiting room transition where you have to jump into the waiting room and then jump in. That's just so that we don't get randomly some random dude from like some crazy place doing some crazy shit. But yeah, no, it'll be from 6 to 8. We really encourage you to come in, talk about whatever you want. We'll have some discussion topics there and everything like that if you want to be a part of that. But we want to hear from everybody else. We want to hear other opinions. Me and Mario very much know how we feel about the Batman, but I want to hear from different people what Batman means to you, what that movie meant to you, what these characters mean to you. I want to hear other people's opinions. This will definitely be a platform for more other people than it would be for us. We're looking to start from to open up for people around 6:20, 6:30 because Mario and I will have an initial discussion to start off, and then we'll open it up to other people. We encourage any of our viewers or anything like that to come in, speak your piece. Let's hear from you guys.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think this is probably a better format than doing sort of like a pip chat where it's sort of standard podcast. It's great to have other voices involved, and it could be honestly part of our audience. So I really love that.
And the other thing too, I just want to mention that as well. This is definitely going to be a drop in, drop out thing. If you only want to be here for 10 minutes, if you only have 10 minutes worth of conversation in you, it's perfectly fine. I'm not going to force you to be there for the full 2 hours. If you want to come in and just say fuck Batman, by all means, come in, say fuck Batman, and then leave if you wanted to. But I definitely encourage everybody to come in, be very comfortable, and just speak your piece. Say whatever you want. You know what I mean? We're among friends. This is going to be a very open conversation about the Batman and possibly other things about Batman as well.
Yeah. And then we'll see where it goes from here. We have people that might be popping in that we are friends with, which have said that they would love to show up. So we'll love to hear from them. So yeah, absolutely going to be a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Party. Well, speaking of watching things, we are throwing a watch party. Very exciting. We're going to be having a watch party for the boys on March 27th. So mark your calendars. Come hang out with us. The details are posted on a graphic on our socials, so you can get all the information there. We're very excited, and we can't wait to have you join us for that.
Yes.
Speaking of that, let's hop in to what we've been playing / consuming this week. I'm gonna throw it over to Frank first. What have you been up to?
First and foremost, shout out to Nerd Today. Hello, see you in the comments there. Hey, all, he says. Yeah, no, I've been playing some games this week. I finally finished Dying Light 2. I have a small little rant on this that I want to say. This doesn't spoil anything for the main game, so if you want to play through Dying Light 2 and know its story, this isn't going to spoil it. I'm just going to tell you how they present the ending to the game to somebody. So, in a game where, if you remember all the marketing for this, all the E3 trailers, everything, you remember how like it was a big emphasis on storytelling, big emphasis on your choices being very big and impactful in this world. I will say 100% right now, it's not. I really do hate when games do this, where they're like, wow, your choices make differences and they change the world around you. This game really doesn't. It's at the end of the day, it's good or bad choice, A or B, or good or bad ending. That's really kind of about it. It really is one of those games where it's like there's a very clear cut choice and there's a very clear cut bad choice, and you can really only make one or two. Yeah, it's not really great. The ending of the game is probably one of the biggest slaps to the faces I've probably had in gaming in a while, where the game has an ending, final boss, you fight the final boss, you do your thing, right? Like every other game. Except when you get to the actual end where it starts talking about your choices. So Fee would know exactly what I'm talking about here when I say this. In a game like Fallout, where you make choices throughout a big open world, the ending of the game then goes to like all the characters you've impacted throughout the game. And it gives you a nice voiceover and like a picture, depending on if they're dead or alive or what you did for them, if you completed their quest in a certain way. It was very cool. It was very dynamic, and it really did feel like you made a difference within the world because you impacted people. Dying Light 2, on the other hand, depending on what choices you made, you get different text on the screen. That's it. You get black and white text on a screen. The game ends, weirdly enough too, because the game ends and then it just fades to black really quick. Like it almost doesn't feel like it's like a speed loading. Like it looks like it's a glitch almost. You see an area you've been to previously. Obviously, this is where you end up after the game's ending shows. But then it like loads the game, quick loads it into this like screen, and it's just like X and X is alive. This faction did this. It's kind of like
Telltale game? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's like, you know how like those old movies, they like those old 90s movies, documentaries, just be like, this person went out to be a drug dealer and died.
Like biopics, where it like 20 years later or whatever.
Or the ending of Can't Hardly Wait. Yeah.
So this game does that at the end of like all your choices. It gives you like text on a screen that says, this is what happened to these characters. This is what happened. There's one character who's like, you don't know if they're dead or alive. And you find out that depending on your choices, if they're alive, by just some text on the screen saying, this person saved X. It's like, okay, I would like to see that.
All right.
And then it gives you obviously one of the either A, B endings. You either get the bad ending or you get the good ending. That's it. There's no real choice there. You have to be a real dick to get the very bad ending, and you have to be obviously super moral high ground to get the good ending. There's no real dynamic choice there in Dying Light 2. It's really disappointing because I was looking for that experience. I was looking for an experience where like I can make choices. The story is supposed to be quote unquote 500 hours. It's not. It's like 20 hours if you mainline it. I'm guessing the 500 hours is the bunch of tedious tasks and like you having to redo them because it's glitched out and you wouldn't be able to do them if it wasn't glitched out. So I don't know. It's a decent game. It's just, why market your game as this like big narrative driven, story driven thing and give me a wall of text, or not even a wall of text, just sentences on a black background for your ending?
Yeah.
And they show like a very bad CGI version of the ending. Like it looks like the way the characters look, like your main character looks like he has a neck like a giraffe in this scene. It looks very clay like. It's very bad. It's not a great way to end something that you've put at least I've put 60 hours into this game. It's not a good way to end a 60-hour game. It really isn't. But that's my small rant. And so then I transition from that to something that obviously, if I've complained about Dying Light and its choices not making a difference, I decided to move over to a company that usually does do this well, and that's Obsidian. Now I started playing the Outer Worlds again, and I was telling Mario about this earlier when he asked me about it, and I decided to give this game another shot because at the time when Outer Worlds came out, I wanted it to be something that it wasn't. I wanted it to be Fallout New Vegas to me. I wanted to put the 300 plus hours I've put into Fallout New Vegas into the Outer Worlds just the same way I did. When I first played this game, I didn't lose myself like that. I didn't really engage in the world like that. I didn't feel the combat as well. I didn't really feel the dialogue or anything like that at the time. And I 100% attribute it to the fact that I wanted it to be a Fallout New Vegas like game. It's not. At the time I was telling Mario, I think Obsidian wasn't even bought by Microsoft yet. So it's very much was a passion project, definitely inspired by Fallout New Vegas, but is not anything close to it in terms of like gameplay or anything like that. But I shed that notion, and I said, you know what, screw it. Let me go into this game with fresh eyes. And I have to say, it's really fucking fun. There is a lot of really good things to love here. On the topic of like dialogue choices mattering, like for example, there's a very early quest that you do where you have a bunch of choices as to how you're gonna save this area. You can be an asshole, you can be neutral, or you can do it one or two other ways. I decided to do it a certain way, and really kind of in my own mind, this character is very evil, and I want to get back at him, right? So I did the opposite of what he wanted me to do. He was a bad character. He only cared about himself, and he really only looked at one thing, right? Me doing that the way I did it. It was very impactful because I had the dialogue choices with him. I told him straight up, like, this is what you deserve, motherfucker. You got nothing left because this is it, right? And I walk out the building, and I'm like a few steps over, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to my next quest. What's next? I hear bang. And I'm like, what the fuck? Wait, was that a gunshot? And I ran back into the room, and the dude shot himself because he had nothing left.
Jesus
I took
Christ.
everything that he possibly had left in this world. And it's choices like that where you don't see in a lot of video games because, it's either A or B choices. You had many choices. I don't doubt in my mind I could have done what I did and still saved that person's life if I made different choices. But they're already made. They're done. That character's gone. Is he impactful in the world? He could have been. I don't know that. But my choices are made and it happened. And that's what I want to see out of a game like Dying Light, but I never got. But that's what Obsidian does best. They do dialogue choices and make sure that, like, if you do make a choice, there is some impact and there is consequences to it. Whether you're doing the good thing, which I did a good thing. I saved a bunch of people. In the end, I got someone killed. You know what I mean? Did he deserve to die? No, but my choices still made that happen. And that's the cool thing about games like Fallout New Vegas and games like Outer Worlds, where you get that experience that you don't typically get from other RPGs. And
you feel like you're actually making an impact and changing and interacting with the story. That's awesome.
Yeah, it makes the characters feel real in a way. I'll tell you what, after that dude did that, I felt like shit. I sat there for a good minute and I'm like, what could I have done? Maybe I was being a little bit much the way I did that. You know what I mean? Maybe, or if there's a way, maybe if I was nicer in the way I presented the fact that I did what he didn't want me to do better, maybe he wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? It's like that's really cool. I like seeing that in video games with dialogue choices and stuff like that.
That reminds me of a mission I did in Cyberpunk that really affected me greatly. It was a guy in an apartment, and that mission tore me up. From not being able to successfully do it. So yeah, I feel like good storytelling comes in the choices and the things that you actively do as a player, and it does suck that it doesn't seem like that's really contingent to Dying Light.
Yeah, and then again, a game that they really marketed as being that wasn't that, and it really disappoints me a lot. I'm not going to say the game's bad in any stretch of the word because it's really fun. I had a lot of fun with it. It's just don't go into it with the same marketing rhetoric as they use in the trailers and stuff like that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Harv, how's Elden Ring going? Is it everything you hoped and dreamed still?
I just got He just sent me a gif of a cat that is going I don't know why, but all right, here we are though.
Here we are.
Here we are. So I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring. I'm about 105 hours into this game.
Mario, where are you at with it?
Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm playing a fucking Souls game. I'm 20 hours. So I'm nowhere near Harv. I'm level 30.
I can't put this game down. I literally cannot put this game down. This is probably the best Souls game that I've played. This is probably the best game I've played, period. Up to date. When it comes to exploration, it is there's no game that compares to this. Like it wants you to explore every single side of the map. It does, and the map just gets bigger because so what they do for it is you pop up on the map. You first start. You get into Limgrave, which is the first area, and you open the map, and it's like, oh, that's a big map. That's a big looking map, you know.
Mhm.
But what they do is that they zoom in a perspective where it's just like what's around you is what they show you, and you can't zoom out. And as you start unlocking new areas, the map starts zooming out automatically. And you're just like, oh, okay, we're getting bigger. Okay, that's pretty big. It's pretty, it's like that meme where it's like pizza slices. Like, okay, that's it. Okay, I'll take another pizza slice. I'll take another. That's enough slices. That's enough slices.
Too many slices. Too many slices.
It's so big. And then there's two levels because there's an underground area as well. And yesterday, I found an underground area I've never been to before.
Jesus Christ!
And because there's a quest line that you have to progress. And you have to invade 3 people. You don't have to win or anything. You just have to invade 3 people. And he gives you this medallion that teleports you, or you can find it naturally. One of the two could happen. But it teleports you to this new place that's underground. That is okay. So have you been to the Sorrowful River?
Don't even ask me questions. I have no idea.
Okay. So there's a big mausoleum that takes you down on an elevator. And it's like a mountain with like constellations like on like the roof of the mountain, stuff like that. Yeah. There's a far like in the distance there is like a platform that you can see from the bottom. And I got to that platform way the hell up there.
Wow.
And it's insane. It's insane. I found it. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna back away now. I'm just gonna back away. I'm gonna explore this later because man, I unlocked the last region and I sat there like this. I don't know how From Software made this game. I don't know. Because there are so many enemy variations to this. There are 89 bosses in the game.
Jesus Christ.
There's 89 bosses.
3 of them so far.
There are I think there are 59 or 61 unique bosses. So there's 20 like repeats, but they all like they're a little bit different because they all do like different. Like they have like a couple of different movesets.
They're the Lionels, the horses, and Breath of the Wild. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, there's about 60 unique bosses in the game.
What's the gap between the last FromSoft game, like the one they developed?
So this was in development right when Sekiro came out, which was in 2019.
And then it wasn't in development while Sekiro was being developed at all.
Right when Sekiro finished, they started working on this game.
Okay, yeah, good few years.
Yeah. But like when you play this game, like Mario could attest to it too. This is pretty much a Dark Souls game. This is like there's a lot of same animations from Dark Souls 3. There's a lot of same kind of like character creators, like almost like Dark Souls 3 pretty much.
Yeah, the layout, the menu system, similar.
The menu system is very similar to Dark Souls 3.
So they definitely saved some time by like,
Yeah, they had systems in place for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, really quickly, if I could just jump in my experience, this is not a Souls guy as I thought, but here's the funny part. So before Elden Ring came out, Elden Ring came out actually, and I was starting to get the buzz. I was starting to get the like, should I
Getting the FOMO a little bit.
Should I play this game? Should I try it? Right. And then I started my job and I was like, you know what? Celebration, I'm going to buy a game. So I bought physically just in case I didn't like it. I can always trade it in, do whatever. Right. And so I started playing, actually pre-gamed Dark Souls 3 because I owned that because I used to work at GameStop. They gave me free code. Got pretty decently good at it and kind of enjoyed the mechanics of going through a castle and like unlocking things and progressing, and had a kind of a okay time with it. I'm like, okay, if it's this but open world, then maybe I'll have a good time. I put in Elden Ring and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna fuck around for a little while. And honestly, I just kept finding things and discovering things and opening up things, and I wasn't doing any bosses for a long. I finally beat my first boss, my major boss, the other day. But I was just sort of exploring and seeing the creatures and seeing, oh, there's just a fucking turtle everywhere. They're awesome. And then there's like these little
fucking turtle.
Fucking what is it, a lamb or a ram? Whatever they're called. But they
that rolls.
But they roll down hills, and I'm like, this is the craziest thing ever. And like I just was
an armadillo or some shit.
Yes. And I'm like, what the fuck's in this world? And then I watched Harv stream and I'm like, what the fuck is that dog dragon demon head thing that I'm going to have to fight one day? And then the best part, this is my favorite story so far, is I'm roaming through this world and I hear this like song and someone's singing in the world. And I'm like, oh, it's some like NPC, you know, and it's a woman singing and it's very beautiful and very awesome and gentle. And like, I'm trying to find out, like, look everywhere because the game doesn't tell you shit, which is both good and bad. But the thing for this is like, I don't know where the fuck sound's coming from. But then the closer I got to it, I'm like, oh, it must be coming over here. It was over a cliff, and I started walking towards it. By the way, there's like bat monsters, like fucking huge man bats, right?
There's legit siren in this game.
Motherfucker. I walked over and I see a grandmother face on a bat monster fucking singing. And once I got close, it stopped singing and went after me. And I'm like, what the fuck is this game? I think I clipped it out. I'm going to try and find that clip. And I'm like, what else is in this game? And that's the part of me to me that's like been driving me forward. It's like, what the fuck else? And I hit a wall at a certain point when I was like, all right, I hit the wall, but the wall was just, I needed to level up. And so I did. I hunkered down. I found a spot where I was getting enough, souls or runes and leveled myself up to like, all right, I attacked Margit for the first time. I got him down to 25% on my first try. And I was like, I could do this. I could actually fucking do this. And it wasn't until like 10 tries later, I fucking did it. And I was like, let's go. And I opened up the castle and I'm in, the castle is very much where the Dark Souls element is. And I'm like, all right, this game's got hooks in me. And then today, I had a lunch break and I had an hour. I had brought my little backbone for my phone. I re-signed up to Game Pass because I wanted to just play games in the back because I have 5G ultra wideband. And I put on the fucking Star Wars Jedi game, the Cal Kestis game, and I'm like, motherfucker, this is a Souls game.
Wow. What did you think when we were saying this before?
No, but I'm not used to the mechanics, right? So, but going back to it, because I also didn't remember, to be fair. I beat the game and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I also played on the easiest mode. Game should have easy modes. That's my stance. And I played, I'm like, this is just fucking Dark Souls. And I'm like, so I am fully on board to play Elden Ring as far as I can. However, I will probably go back to Dark Souls 3 and try to progress through that all the way through. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. Only because I feel like Elden Ring is like jumping into easy hard mode, where it's like, yes, there's some elements that are pretty easy and you can start messing around, but I missed out on the mechanics 5 games ago that I feel like I need to build up the tolerance to keep building forward. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoyed my time in Dark Souls 3 because it was confined to this castle, as opposed to it's like big open area. Now there's a castle to explore, then there'll be more areas I can explore. So I wouldn't mind focusing on one game and then going back to it. And did it make me want to investigate other Souls games? Maybe Sekiro specifically. I have Bloodborne in the fucking hopper of the PlayStation for some reason I don't finish. And honestly, it's just because I was scared. And once you start gaining the confidence after building up your character, you stop being a little scared. You start getting a little ballsy. And that's the part that has been a lot of fun about discovering about myself specifically. I don't like games on hard mode. That's whatever. But that doesn't mean I don't like challenge. And so when it comes to this game, it actually started to open up something inside of me that I honestly didn't know I had. So yeah. Shout out the fucking Elden Ring. I couldn't believe I was saying that.
I'm honestly surprised because we've had this discussion before, like, at stores and stuff like that. Where just like, I'll be like, you got to learn mechanics. And then you're like, I don't want to learn mechanics. I just want to play the game. And I'm like, but you got to learn them. We've had that discussion before.
Harv, I want you to tell me, what the fuck is it about this cat with a human skull face that people keep talking about? What's going on there?
I would have said Mario picture if you could put it up.
No.
A cat
No,
with
indeed.
human skull. Elden ring.
But
So
yeah,
it's a mini boss.
But
In the game.
Harv finds that. No, but I am proud. I'm proud that you're trying out Elden Ring. You're starting to get the idea that it's very much mechanics heavy, and once you learn it, it gets easier. And every death that you have, the game gets easier and easier and easier until to the point where you actually win.
Sorry about the face. I fucking saw it.
So Mario's gonna put this up.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
Not as horrifying as I thought it would be.
Horrifying is
Slido. He's turning his head to the back. That's
Yeah.
you see him from behind.
Cute.
And some of them you fight they have 3 heads, so it's three of those heads. Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
the main thing about one of the main things about this game is like you like what Mario was saying about you go to this castle and stuff like that. And,
Yes.
And Dark Souls 3's got these very integral like dungeons in a way, right? You go into a castle, it's very integral. You go down, you go up, you unlock these crazy shortcuts where you open the door, you're like, oh shit, I'm back here again.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
you just skipped like 2 hours of the game because you've already finished it. Like you finished the 2 hours of thing, and now you don't need to go back in it because you worked hard unlocking the shortcut.
Yeah, so like for instance, and then we can move on from here. But basically, there was after I beat the first boss, the beginning gate is like there's a guy you talk to, and he's like, you can go through the front door or you could go through the side here, and then if you depending on what you choose, right? So I did the side door, which then led me throughout the castle. But then I found my way back to the front door, and then I was able to unlock the front door. But I unlocked all of this so that way I could have access to the front and hit it from another direction if I wanted to. So yeah, 100%. I discovered that in Dark Souls 3, and that's what made me like go, huh. So there's a key thing I can get that unlocks this door, which now cuts me to here so I can make shortcuts. Totally like that actually was definitely an eye-opening perspective. Specific
keys or doors that say like you can only open them from this side of the door, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that kind of shit too. But like, so Elden Ring has that level design inside of the dungeons,
yes,
with open world aspects that are just open. Which when you combine like the Strawbell Castle is the first castle in Elden Ring, there is so much in that castle.
Mm-hmm.
I think I spent probably about 15 hours in that area. I think.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a blast. Yeah,
and I didn't unlock every door. I couldn't find how to unlock one of the doors. Like I had no idea how to get to a chest because the place is so big. Because like they finally added a jump button to a Souls game, like
jumping.
a dedicated jump button now.
Constantly
instead
jumping.
of you.
Yeah.
And now so there's verticality to the game. So you're on like the roof of the castle and trying to like platform your way down to like different windows and stuff.
Sprint,
and trying to roll
run, jump, do this, get you higher. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad they added a jump button because in the previous Souls games that I've played, it was an absolute ass every time I had to do any kind of platforming.
I feel it was part of it like the Sekiro. I think Sekiro had a jump button, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And then you have Torrent, which is awesome. You have a horse pretty much right at the beginning of the game that you just summon, you're right on top of it, and you just fucking ride. You just ride. It gets a double jump. There's nothing to unlock for the horse. There's no tree for the horse, like a skill tree or anything.
He dies. You can bring him right back. Bring him on.
And
back,
you bring
not
him
that
right
far.
back.
Yeah. Totally down. I do want to say that Breath of the Wild walked, so this could run in a lot of ways. And
honestly, I do think they took Breath of the Wild and it was like, all right, how can you put this in a Souls kind of format?
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
And again, but we also have to put in perspective that there are no quest logs in this game. There are no quest markers in this game. When you talk to NPCs, you got to know what they're talking about and where they're headed.
I might have to write fucking notes, and I might do that. I might actually.
Yeah,
do it.
And
Cool
yesterday.
Personally,
yesterday I was finishing up Questline. Tonight I'm gonna finish up most of the quest lines that I can finish.
Yeah.
So I know where most NPCs are now, so I can kind of finish their quests and stuff like that, and
cool.
Go through that. But yeah, that's just what Souls games always are. Like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro even had that too. So it's just one of those things where you kind of have to pay attention on where they're headed in order to figure out where their story is. Because like the stories, I will say right now, none of them end well.
Sure.
So. So when you're talking to an NPC, you know shit's gonna go down.
I don't give a shit right now. The story, my story is I'm gonna fucking conquer that castle. That's literally my story, and I'm totally down to do it.
That's the beauty of games like open world like that. Sometimes you can just create your own little mini story within the story, and that's what really immerses you within those worlds. Really,
That's
and
why
also
I love Breath of the Wild, honestly.
Yeah. And shout out to Mario for actually picking up a Souls game. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
There was a time in our lives where you wouldn't have done that.
Never fucking touched it. Never would have.
Every time he sends me a picture of like a monster inside a Soulsborne game, inside Elden Ring.
Out the fucking dock.
No,
Mario probably.
No, Fee is
Why?
all the old stuff. That's old stuff. That's all old stuff.
Okay, because I know you were blacking it out last time like a fucking CIA document. No, it's a CIA document. Black lines.
Anyways, Mario, what else have you been doing before we jump into what we've both been watching?
Totally. So I've actually, I'm going to talk about two shows really quick. I'm going to talk them really quickly back to back, actually. So I finally watched Euphoria. You know, I decided I want to get to know what the teens are up to these days. And I'm going to let you know, everybody, I'm fucking terrified. These fucking teens are fucks.
These teenagers are scaring the living shit out of me.
They're literally exactly. Yeah. I wasn't like the perfect teen. I've done some of the shit that some of these kids have done, but definitely they go on a whole extra like psychopath level of like intricacies of how to fucking like fuck someone over in terms of like blackmail, and these levels have never been reached by a young kid, so I don't believe that for a fucking minute. But other than that,
possible. I mean, we didn't grow up very much in the digital age when you think about it.
True. But I don't want to get into it because it's spoilery stuff. But there's one bad guy. He's a fucking bad guy. So enjoy that. But specifically, I think that it is an interesting show for people today, and specifically kids. I know kids are going to watch this regardless, despite it being a sort of an R-rated show. But I still think that these shows really do need to exist to show examples of as substance abuse and what it means to love someone, and also when it comes to like different perspectives and stories, and fat phobia, transphobia, all that is also very heavily in there. Drug addiction is literally the thrust of the show, with Rue, who's played by Zendaya, and there's a lot of great actresses and actors in the show. They're all sprinkled out. They all do wonderful performances. I absolutely adore Hunter Shafir. They're incredible, and I love seeing them on screen, and what they do has an awesome presence. So I'd love to see the story that they continue to have. But ultimately, this is a very stylized depiction of what it's like to be a fucked up teen on drugs. And I will say it can be very much triggering if you have ever dealt with that. But I will say, as a narrative, it is interesting and enthralling to watch. Everything is visual. Like, for instance, I've never thought that they could do a sort of like claustrophobic version of like, you're at or non-claustrophobic version, or no, a different way to describe it. Like, you're at a carnival, right? And there's a lot of people, and you automatically assume that, wow, there's a lot of people. They somehow do it in a way where claustrophobic, where it's so singular around a person that a carnival just so happens to be happening around them. But the way that they shoot the film, it just feels claustrophobic because they're in this small bubble and they're focusing on the character in the different moments. And they do that in that episode where they bounce around different other people too. I love what they're doing with the first season. I know that the second season has definitely turned on certain people. I'm very curious of where they go with it. But ultimately, I do recommend this show. It's on HBO Max. It's got 2 seasons, but it also has 2 special episodes just dedicated to the characters. And I really recommend it. And if you can slide this in as your new HBO Sunday show, I mean, go for it. I know it's all out right now, so you could definitely binge through it. It is a rough ride. I had to take a break in between episodes, but I'm excited to jump into season 2 when I get a chance. So I'm at the end of season 1, so definitely think that Euphoria is something worth watching. As someone who grew up watching shows like Degrassi and stuff like that, this actually is produced by Drake, which is hilarious. So this is dirty Degrassi in a lot of ways. But ultimately, I think it's something worth watching. The second show that I actually watched months ago, the first episode, is Guardians of Justice. That's because I got a chance to interview the creator of it, Adi Shankar, who, of course, has produced things such as Dread, the Castlevania anime. He's going to be doing the Far Cry. He's going to be doing Devil May Cry. He's also doing PUBG. All these different things for Netflix and different platforms. And I got to interview him for an hour, and we shot the shit, and he's such a cool dude. I mean, I've been actively talking to him recently. I'd love to see him, possibly talk to him again. But before that, the whole purpose of the interview was to do the show because he got it in cans, and it was going to be on Netflix, and it's now all out. It's all out on Netflix. I'm going to be watching the rest of the series this weekend, but I just want to talk about the first episode. The first episode, the whole premise of the show is, what if Alan Moore's Watchmen was looked through a kaleidoscope? And that kaleidoscope was multi-genre. Like, for instance, it is a cartoon. It is claymation. It is live action. It is video game art. It is these different things. And the way that they branch their stories really is just trying to tell this one cohesive thing, but while seeing all these like kaleidoscopes of different items and different things. And I really had a great time. It's silly as shit. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you're there for the silly shit, because from one genre, from 1 second to another, and they have way crazy stars in the show. Like, here's someone. This might speak to most people here. Alison Stoner plays a character.
Oh,
she's in this.
Was in Step Up, which I watched last
Exactly,
week.
and of course, she's a famous singer, dancer, and also has been on TikTok and of course Disney and Step Up. And the voice actor of Kratos plays the president. And if you don't know about that actor, he's actually a proud gay man. He plays an anti-gay president, and it's sort of funny how they flip that on his head. But of course, then there's like Denise Richards is in it. Diamond Dallas Page plays a Batman figure. There is, I think, the guy from. He's an action star, but he plays like a Superman character. There's so many random stars that just pop up in these different roles, and it's really just a love letter of like, can I get my friends to come in for a weekend and let's do this crazy ass project? And it just goes buck ass wild. And I think that this is a fun little just experiment that he did. He worked over 6 years, and honestly, just the bravado of just being able to make a product like that and just have fun with it, and Netflix to be like, okay, is pretty cool. And so I highly recommend checking this out. It's on Netflix. I know that Frank said that he saw the image of it with his father. He says like,
oh, we saw the trailer with my dad. It looked goofy.
I was going to play the trailer, but we should probably move on from that. But yes, fantastic in my opinion in the first episode of how silly it is, but definitely worth a shout out. So definitely want to talk about those two things specifically.
Very exciting. Now, Fee, Mario, and I all watched the same movie, and boy, was it a doozy. We all watched Fresh this week.
We did.
And man, I had so much fun with this movie. Fee,
that's surprising. You're hearing someone say they had fun with it.
Fee, what were your thoughts on Fresh?
Should we disclose what happened? Should we disclose what happened first?
Okay, I would like to start from the beginning.
Okay.
So Mario and I were talking about specific things that we now have announced, the watch party, and I'm like, oh man, I just see that, like, I was scrolling through my TikTok and I see that Sebastian Stan has a new movie, and I'm like, oh, this kind of looks cool. And without any context, Mario's like, why don't we watch it? And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And so I turned it on. I got 55 minutes in, and I was physically getting ill. Like, my heart was racing. I was like getting dizzy. I couldn't focus on anything. Mostly because a few years, like I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast. I had emergency surgery done, which included me getting I now have a scar specifically because of it. And one of the things was ever since then, surgical things just get me like into panic. Like I don't like it's not like I had it on while I was working on something else and I was still getting physically concerned. And I'm like, Mario, I can't do this. I cannot watch this movie. And so then I turned it off. And then Mario was just like, hey, I'm just gonna go head off, do my own thing, and then go to bed. And then I proceeded to just watch the movie by skipping every 10 seconds. Like I was just like, I will watch this movie this way and see if I can watch it, and then get through it. And then I was just like, you know what? I think I can. And so I went back and I watched it all, and then I messaged Mario, and I'm like, I did it. And he's just like really happy we could have done this together, but okay.
So yeah, I watched half of the movie. I didn't see the rest, so I'll definitely finish.
Oh, you've only seen the first half?
No, because I got busy. Yeah, because I had to go to work the night. Like I actually shouldn't have been watching it that night. I should have went to bed. But
you guys were up pretty late.
We're up pretty late. But I'm like, honestly, I was having a good time with the movie. And then he was like, like, oh, I can't watch this. Like, I understand. I totally get it. It's pretty.
Yeah.
For what we saw, it was pretty graphic. So I was just like, all right, I'll watch it on my own eventually, probably this weekend. And so I was like, okay, I'll go fuck off. But then the funny thing was, like, that same night, Fee's messaged me, I watched the movie. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What you mean?
So that's why in the document I said she watched it at half speed.
Nice.
Yeah. Of course, I a while back went through like all Sebastian Stan's projects, right?
Yes.
And so I saw this new thing, and the whole time I was like looking at how they were like marketing this, and I'm like, this is being marketed like a like high budget like artsy indie film. And then I watched it and I was like, this has the energy of an artsy fucking indie film. And I loved it. I love like indie vibe movies. I go to a bunch of like independent film festivals and stuff. And so like what a fun vibe. It like usually when we look at movies that are like very different genres throughout, I'm not a fan. Like I'm like very much like pick a vibe and stick with it.
Sure.
But
I'm laughing because you said fun vibe, and I just looked at Fee going like, what?
Like, okay, yes. Obviously, if you have any sort of problems with like surgical related topics, definitely err on the side of caution with this film. But it was not as gory as I was expecting. I was expecting more gore. Like I saw like comedy thriller and I was like, okay, but yeah, it's gonna be a little gory. But it like besides the like last 15 minutes, there wasn't really a lot of gore.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead. You want to go ahead, Fee?
Yeah, no. I agree. I think my problem, and I do not want to spoil this for the people who haven't watched it. Like maybe at some point we can sit down and like have a spoiler cast or whatever. But it was like I think after and kind of like self-reflecting, it was more of not like what we didn't see. That's what concerned me. And as someone who, because I'm gonna be honest, I went through a freaking terrible like I don't even know. When I was in high school, I like my friends and I just watched like really like dark indie like gore films, and it was just like one of those things I'm like, okay, whatever. And so as someone who's seen that before and has seen some crazy like Japanese gore movies and then like seeing something like this, I'm like, what the fuck is on the other side? Because and so for me it's like it was a lot of like, girl, you've seen some shit. That could be some crazy shit on the other side of that wall. And I'm just like, oh, like this is even talking about it right now, I'm feeling uneasy. And it's just I will
say, if you want a fun rom-com with Sebastian Stan, watch until the opening credits, and then when you hit the opening credits, bow out, and you'll have a great time.
So let me comment on that, because we're already kind of semi-spoiling that this is a scary movie. I won't.
I mean, it's a thriller.
Yeah, it's a thriller.
You know that going in.
Here's the funny thing, right? So obviously I knew it was a thriller, but if I didn't know and I watched the movie, it does the same fucking thing as Till Dusk Till Dawn. And I'm just like, you son of a bitch. But only but on top of that,
I like when movies do that shit. So he was telling me about this movie because I'm not gonna watch it. So I was like, she told me about the entire what the premise of the story is.
Yeah,
and the thing. Yeah, the credit doesn't happen to first 30 minutes of the film.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Like I think that's a great idea.
The fucking opening credits does not kick in until 30 minutes into the movie, and you're like, "What the fuck is gonna happen?"
33 minutes if you're counting.
Fucking hell!
Yeah,
that's great.
It's cool.
It was great,
and it's a totally tone shift, and that's what was cool about it. And I'm like, fucking A, they did it. They fucking did it in today's in today's movies. Obviously, they're marketing as a thriller, so it's kind of like if you didn't know what it was, you fucking just watch the movie. It's fresh rom-com, whatever. He's a vegan. But other than that, we actually, without talking about it, me and Fee were thinking something else, and we had that expectation for that, and I'm glad that the movie flipped it, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, honestly, everything about the movie was fantastic. I think I'm currently listening to the soundtrack. Not just
great.
because the fact that they do a cover of "Thank You for Being a Friend," which I'm currently listening to as I'm talking right now by Andrew Gold. Fantastic. But it was just that specific aspect, and that's kind of why I pushed myself to continue watching and to at least see the clips to get through it, because I was liking the movie, and I was getting even more irritated with myself because I'm like, girl, you can do this. You can get through this film. Even though I felt like I was going to throw up, I'm just like, I'm going to do this. I got this. I feel the same way when I watch Grey's Anatomy now, which makes me slightly upset. Mind you, it's probably for the best that I can't watch Grey's Anatomy anymore. But no, I think it was really, really well done. If you just want overall a really good movie, yeah, I was shocked that Sly watched this movie, because I'm like,
you said that before we started recording. I don't know why. This it's so up my alley. It's totally my vibe.
It's we watched
Murder
before, and you're like, nah, no.
As soon as I knew there was gore in this movie, I didn't think you were gonna watch it.
I'm not a fan of gore, in general, but I love a thriller.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't like psychological. I don't do a psychological, and that's, you made me watch the whatever the anime. Okay, you didn't make me watch. I wanted to join in and watch a psychological trippy anime thing, and that's not my vibe.
I want to premise.
No. You warned me. It was all my fault.
I'm like, Sly. I essentially did a Leslie Knope. I'm like, Frank, you're gonna really like this anime, and Sly's
I loved
I'm
it.
gonna watch this anime, and I'm like, this is not a Sly anime, and you're like, I want to watch it. I'm like, okay, and then after the episode was over, you're like, I'm leaving, and I'm like, yep, I was not expecting that.
Just fade away.
I'm like, that's also kind of why I was kind of shocked, because there's some then again, I guess because of Sebastian Stan, you were able to get through it, and then also kind of the quirkiness of it, because there was a lot of
it's very quirky, 100%.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheesy quirky indie shit that happened throughout that film. Sly and I are
much an
the
indie
dance, the fucking dance.
This is 500 Days of Summer if it was a fucking thriller movie. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm going to offer an alternative for people that also enjoy this movie. I do want to recommend a movie that's felt similar to this. Obviously without it's a thriller. 1BR is the name of the movie. It came out in 2019. It is a very short film, so you can actually watch it. But it is in this vein of you don't know what's happening until it's happening, kind of movie. And I think this would be Alfie's bopping to the song. But I do recommend it. It's a really solid film. But yeah, I'm excited to watch the rest of this and see how it ends. I hope good.
The ending is very good.
I will watch it with you, because I've now gone over with I feel like I now am obligated to watch the rest of the movie with you, because I did cut you short. So I would definitely recommend it. Oh God, I'm just back to back. These songs are freaking phenomenal. Sorry, I'm just saying it's a good album. It's a good choice of songs.
No, it's good. I hope
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just my
See,
top
what
10 of
else-
movies. Sure.
What else have you been doing this week?
What have I been doing this week? That's a good question. It has been I've been playing more board games recently. I've been playing
Nice.
Arc Nova, which is essentially a like almost it kind of plays like Terraforming Mars, which is another board game that I play quite regularly with some friends. But you make a zoo, and so you have specific objectives, and so you have to like collect specific cards. So let's say you get 2 objectives, and you choose an objective that says you need to have a very like an aquatic zoo. So you try to grab like as many of the water related animals, and then you build your zoo that way. And that's been a lot of fun. I've been playing Wingspan on like I bought the game through Steam. So it's a board game, but they have like a whole animated. I would highly recommend it. It's currently on sale right now, but what's really cool about it is you collect different birds. And once again, you have objectives. For some reason, I have a lot of objective specific board games I've been playing recently. I don't also own either one of these board games in the background here. But what's really cool about Wingspan is it has this really like pretty, like calm music. You get to choose your background, and so the background has 3 different areas. So there's like the main background, which is the woods. And then if you go to, let's say, the wetlands, it brings you out to the wetlands area. And then there's like a beach area that has like really scenic beauty, like beautiful artwork. It almost looks like a watercolor painting. And then if you play a bird, it actually reads out the like fun fact about it, like the American bald eagle and stuff like that. And
That's
so
that's the one I gifted you, right?
no. That's not the one that you gifted me. I think you definitely gifted me something else. If you gifted
Yeah.
me that one, I feel bad because I bought it. So I don't know what
Oh, did
happened
you?
there.
Because I remember Wingspan in my Humble Bundle thing. That's why I'm like, wait, hold on.
Whoops.
Well, I guess you have 2 copies of it then. You should probably do something with that other one.
That was really smart of me. But no, it's been a lot of fun, and I played Kingdom of Two Crowns, which is actually a game that you can get currently in the Ukraine money, like the Ukraine fund.
Oh, cool. So I own it.
itch.io.
Awesome.
Yes.
Mhm.
However, the problem with that one, like there's no problem with this bundle, by the way. It's a phenomenal bundle. My goodness. For some reason the music just changed to a very like hardcore like rap song, and I'm very concerned right now.
Buttle.
Which is like my
Bundle.
goodness. So I got like really tongue tied. So what's cool, like unfortunately with the itch.io version, you don't get the online
Got it.
co-op.
Hmm.
However, you do get the coach co-op. However, it's a lot of fun. I love the Kingdom games, which is a side scroller kind of like base building in a way. So you start off, you're on a horse, and you have to build your town up because you were getting attacked by different demons from portals that are on each side. It's a lot of fun. This one's really pretty. So I was really shocked by that. So it's been a lot of fun playing that. But yeah, I've just been kind of doing that. I did start Killing Eve, which is
Ooh.
yeah. So I watched the first episode.
I've not seen that. but
I am
it
very much
looks great.
invested.
Oh, rip.
Goodness, Sandra Oh is like
Incredible.
incredible. Oh, like everyone in that show is freaking phenomenal. And no, I would highly recommend it if you haven't already watched it. And I'm on the first episode, but I'm already sold by it. And I know a lot of people are slightly confused by the show. Not just like overall because there's comedy aspects in it, even though for people who haven't watched it, it's about an assassin and the detective who's trying to stop her. But that's essentially all I know. I'm trying to go in it a little bit blind, but there is a lot of comedy aspects to it. So I'm very excited about that. Mostly because I've been trying to watch a lot more shows with like strong female leads. Which I know like for some people who are like thinking like you just finished watching Sex in the City, there are 4 female leads, and Kim Cattrall is like amazing. Like I'm a huge freaking fan of her, and just all these women who kind of paved the way in the early 20th century, specifically showing like the same way with like Golden Girls. So you had women who were in an age group that people usually like turn away from, or at least think like, oh, like I know some people listening to this podcast might like, obviously this is not true, but a lot of people think like after a woman hits 30, they get put onto a shelf and then no one like wants to talk to them anymore. But that's not the case. They're still living, breathing people who have regular lives, sex lives, still go out partying and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed Sex in the City. Mind you, I have not watched the second movie because I have heard that it is really bad and borderline racist. So
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not going to be
you
watching
guys were
that
talking about
movie.
this the other day.
And it's not a good movie. So I'm definitely not going to be watching that one. Even though, mind you, Kim Cattrall does not come back for the new series that just recently came out, which I'm also not watching for the time being. So either way, it was really good. But now I'm going to be watching Killing Eve, which I'm very excited about because once again, two very strong female leads. So I'm very excited to continue watching that. Also, Sly, I started playing Murder in the Alps.
Nice.
It's only taken me a year and a half. It is. I'm gonna be honest. The storyline is good. However, the gameplay is not great.
Oh no, it's not.
It is not great. Mostly because it's just like it goes back to the same type of puzzles over and over and over again.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, oh no, like mix it up. Like sometimes they mix it up, but then the majority of the time it's like, go to this room, find 15 things, and then all your energy's gone for the day. Or like I was at the very end and it went like, 1 second here.
Fee is pausing. But yeah, no, Murder in the Alps, I downloaded as a joke, and then the story was really good, but it is very repetitive for sure.
It's so repetitive. And then I got even more infuriated because you can tell that it's an energy-based game and not like you get to buy it off of the Play Store, because they're like, you spend like 20 plus energy to have this conversation and they're like, pass me that book. And I'm like, no, fucker, that is 20 energy.
Right.
And then I'm going to have to spend another 30 to get back into this conversation. Are you joking? Like, that is absurd. Like, oh my god. But no, at least unlike Adam Wolf, where they have a lot of conversations at gunpoint, this one just had guns related.
I'm excited to hear that
Mhm.
conversation because I did not listen to the episode yet, and I really want to know what the hell Adam Wolf game is. Yeah.
Also, completely forgot for a split second that the game is based in 1933, so the Nazi Party is brought up as if they're a regular political party, and I'm like, excuse me? And I'm like, oh yes, this is before World War II and before everything happened. Oh, this is a interesting conversation. Okay. Like, which I appreciate the fact that they were staying relevant to that time period, but it was very jarring because I forgot for a split second where, like, what time period it was in. And I was like, is this 1940s or 1930s? Probably want to know if it is the 1930s. If it's 1940s, probably don't want to play this game. But no. Overall, it was pretty slow week. I've been really busy other than that, so it's just been a lot of board games and just playing mobile apps games on my phone.
Nice. This was my week of watching shit. I know I've been talking for the past like couple weeks or so that I just like haven't been watching anything. And so this week I was like, all right, I'm going to just sit down and barrel through some shit. I watched a couple episodes of The West Wing to make me feel better about existence. So that was nice.
Confident presidency.
Yeah. I'm watching Merlin for a friend. And so I finally finished season 3 of that.
JJ?
No, it's actually one of my college friends.
Cool.
But yeah, I got through season 3. I've been keeping up with Suspicion. I'll talk about more of that next week once we see how it ends. And then today I started Dollface because, as we know, I am a fully in love with Kat Dennings. And so it's been on my like to watch list since season 2 came out. And then also while we were watching Electra this week for MC University, I realized that Gord Vishnik is in Dollface, and so there's 2 reasons to watch it.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
If you want to hear what this is about, watch our episode, because we go Sly and JJ. We had a guest, JJ, go off on this man, and I'm like, okay, he's barely in that movie. Barely in that movie.
He's in the whole movie. What are you talking about?
He's not in the last half. I'll tell you that.
He plays Mark.
Yeah,
the
father.
dad.
Yeah, I know. He's barely.
Okay.
For me, he's barely a presence.
For me, he was there the whole time.
Fair enough.
But,
watch our episode. It's a great episode.
But yeah, so because Kat Dennings and Gordon Vishnik were in season 1, I was like, fuck it, I'll start it. And I'm on like episode 5, I think. I'm in the middle of episode 5. And yeah, so it's been fun. I don't know what this is talking about. But yeah, that's what we've been playing, watching, experiencing this week.